There are 5 spots scattered across the planet where hitting 100 years old isn't shocking. It's almost normal. Little pockets in Japan, Italy, Greece, Costa Rica, and even one in California, where people supposedly grow old slower than the rest of us and keep dancing at parties in their 90s. They're called the Blue Zones, and lately they've become one of the biggest travel obsessions online. People are literally planning entire trips around visiting them. But here's the honest question this whole video is built on. Is it real, or is it hype? Because the answer is way more interesting than the wellness posts admit. Quick heads up, I'm giving zero medical advice here, and I'll be straight about what's proven versus what's just a good story. Let's dig in. Quick backstory. The term Blue Zones got popularized by a researcher in National Geographic, tracing regions that were reported to have unusually high numbers of people living to very old ages. They drew circles on a map, originally in blue ink, hence the name, around 5 areas that kept showing up. And the pitch that made it go viral wasn't just these people live long. It was these people live long and seem to actually enjoy it. Active, social, purposeful, right up to the end. That's basically everyone's dream. So of course it exploded into books, documentaries, diets, and now travel itineraries. But hold one word in your head for this whole video. Reported. These are patterns people observed, not laws of physics, someone proved in a lab. Now let's actually visit all 5, because as travel destinations, they're genuinely spectacular. Zone 1, Okinawa, a string of subtropical islands south of mainland Japan. This is the poster child of the whole Blue Zones idea. Picture turquoise water, coral reefs, quiet villages, and gardens everywhere. 2 cultural ideas from here went absolutely global. First, ikigai, loosely, your reason to get up in the morning, your sense of purpose. And second, moai, lifelong little friend groups that meet regularly and have each other's backs for decades, so nobody grows old alone. Whether or not those are the actual secret to a long life, they're beautiful ways to live. As a trip, Okinawa slaps, incredible food, a distinct island culture different from mainland Japan, castle ruins, beaches, and that slow, warm island pace. Just remember, the longevity stuff is the reported story here, not a guarantee. Zone 2, Sardinia, the big island off the west coast of Italy, but not the glossy yacht and beach club Sardinia the influencers post. The Blue Zone is inland, up in the rugged highland villages of the Nuora region, shepherd country, where the roads twist through mountains and the pace isn't changed in generations. This area is specifically famous for older men living remarkably long, which is unusual since in most of the world women tend to outlive men by a wider margin. The popular explanations you will hear are things like lifelong physical work walking those hills, close-knit family villages, homemade food, and a lot of red wine and laughter. As a travel destination, inland Sardinia is a dream for anyone sick of crowded Italy. Ancient stone villages, wild landscapes, hearty food, and prices way friendlier than the coast. Again, the longevity is the reported pattern. The beauty is just objectively real. Zone 3, Ikaria, a rugged little Greek island in the Aegean that popular media loves to call the island where people forget to die. Which is a wildly good nickname, and, to be clear, a nickname, not a medical finding. Ikaria's whole vibe is famously relaxed to an almost comedic degree. The stories you'll hear are about people who don't really use clocks, take long afternoon naps, garden into old age, drink herbal mountain teas, and throw all-night village festivals where grandparents are still dancing at 3 in the morning. Whether that lifestyle adds years or just makes the years you get a lot more fun is honestly a great question. As a trip, Ikaria is the anti-Santorini. No cruise ship crowds, no influencer stampede, just wild coastline, hot springs, hiking, and a genuinely unhurried Greek island culture. It's the kind of place that lowers your blood pressure on arrival, figuratively. I'm not a doctor. Zone 4 crosses the ocean, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. This is the one that gets Americans and Canadians most excited, because it's in the same hemisphere and pretty reachable. Nicoya is a stretch of Pacific coastline and inland ranch country, and it slots perfectly into Costa Rica's whole national brand, Pura Vida, the pure life mindset of taking it easy and staying grateful. The reported longevity story here leans on things like an active outdoor life, a diet built around beans, corn, squash, and tropical fruit, strong family ties, and a lot of sunshine and faith. As a destination, it's basically a highlight reel. Surf beaches, jungle, wildlife, waterfalls, and that famously friendly Costa Rican warmth. Of the 5 zones, Nicoya is probably the easiest to build a normal vacation around while still touching the Blue Zone idea. Same rule though, inspiring pattern, not a promise. And Zone 5 is the plot twist. It's in the United States. Loma Linda, California, a town not far from Los Angeles. No exotic island, no ancient mountain village, just Southern California. What makes it a blue zone is a specific community there, a large group of Seventh-day Adventists whose faith encourages a particular lifestyle, largely plant-based eating, no smoking, a strict weekly day of rest, and a really tight treff, supportive community life. And that community has been reported to live notably longer than the American average around them. The fascinating part is what it implies. This isn't necessarily about magic genes or magic climate, because it's the same country, the same supermarkets, the same air as their neighbors. It points at how people choose to live. As a trip, Loma Linda is obviously less of a bucket list flight and more of a fascinating idea, but it's arguably the most important zone because it's the one that suggests some of this might be portable. So 5 wildly different places: Japanese islands, Italian mountains, a Greek island, a Costa Rican peninsula, and a California town. Different languages, foods, religions, climates, and yet the popular research says a handful of patterns keep showing up across all of them. Natural movement built into daily life, not gym sessions, just walking, gardening, hills, chores, eating mostly plants and generally not stuffing themselves. A strong sense of purpose, a reason to get up, and deep, constant social connection, family, friends, community that doesn't evaporate with age. Notice what's not on that list: expensive supplements, biohacking gadgets, cold plunges, none of it. The reported common thread is almost boringly human: move, eat real food, belong to people, have a reason. That's it. Either a little disappointing or kind of profound. But now we have to talk about the part the wellness accounts skip. Here's the part that makes this video different from every hype reel: the honest debate. Some researchers have seriously questioned how solid the Blue Zone's data actually is. The big criticism goes like this. In a lot of these regions, birth records from 100+ years ago are messy, incomplete, or easy to get wrong. And in some places, there have historically been incentives to fudge an old person's age, like continuing to collect a pension. Critics argue that at least part of the everyone lives to 100-year story could be paperwork errors and missing documents, rather than a real biological miracle. Now, that does not mean these places are fake, or that the lifestyles are worthless. It means the extreme claims deserve a raised eyebrow, and you should never repeat a jaw-dropping longevity statistic as hard-proven fact. The pattern is interesting. The certainty people sell around it is not earned. Hold both of those at once. So where does that leave us? Somewhere genuinely useful, I think. Even if you throw out every shaky statistic, you're left with 5 cultures that clearly figured out something about living well. Not just living long, but living connected, purposeful, unhurried, and outdoors. And that part doesn't need a peer-reviewed study to be worth paying attention to. You don't have to believe anyone hit 120 to notice that a life full of real food, daily movement, close friends, and a reason to get up sounds a lot better than doom-scrolling yourself into the ground. That's not medical advice. I keep saying that on purpose. It's just an observation about what these places value. The travel version is powerful because you go, you feel a different rhythm of life, and you bring the feeling home. The trip isn't about copying a diet. It's about seeing a different operating system for being a person. Now the practical catch, because I want you going in clear-eyed. First, these are real places where real people live their actual lives, not a longevity theme park. Visit with respect and curiosity. Don't gawk at old people like exhibits. Be a good guest. Second, the famous zones are the rural, inland, harder-to-reach parts, not the resort strips nearby. So getting to inland Sardinia, or out to Ikaria, or across the Nicoya Peninsula takes real planning, and transport, ferries, and prices change, so check the current logistics before you book. Third, do not go expecting a magic health download. You will not come back younger. Treat it as a beautiful cultural trip with a fascinating idea attached, and you'll love it. Expect a fountain of youth, and you set yourself up to be let down. Manage the expectation and the trip delivers. Okay, so how would you actually build a Blue Zones trip? A few ways, depending on your budget and time. The easiest single trip for North Americans is Nicoya in Costa Rica, same hemisphere. Reachable, and it doubles as a classic beach and jungle vacation, with the Blue Zone idea layered on top. If you're already doing Europe, bolt inland Sardinia, or the island of Ikaria onto the trip instead of the crowded coastal cliches. You get the longevity angle and a way less touristy, cheaper version of Italy or Greece. Okinawa pairs perfectly with any bigger Japan trip, as your slow, tropical finale. And Loma Linda is more of a curious day idea than a flight. Think of it as the concept, not the plane ticket. Whichever you pick, go as a respectful traveler soaking up a way of life. And, one more time, Check current transport and prices before you lock anything in. And here's the bigger idea hiding under all 5 circles on that map. The reason Blue Zone's travel blew up isn't really about age at all. It's that a whole generation looked at hyper-connected, always on, weirdly lonely modern life and quietly thought, there has to be a better way to do this. And these 5 places are living proof that there is. That slower, more connected, more purposeful lives aren't some lost fantasy. They're just being lived right now in villages most people can't find on a map. You don't travel there to steal a diet plan, you go to get physical evidence at a different pace as possible. So you stop treating burnout like the only option. Whether or not anyone there actually reaches 100, they've clearly cracked something about being alive that most of the wealthy world lost. That's the real souvenir. So back to the question we started with, real or hype? Honestly, both, and that's the satisfying answer. The extreme, jaw-dropping numbers, treat those with a raised eyebrow. Because the data is genuinely debated and some of it may be paperwork, not miracles. But the deeper pattern, move naturally, eat real food, stay close to your people, keep a reason to get up, that shows up in 5 totally unrelated cultures, and you don't need to study to feel why it works. The blue zones probably aren't a fountain of youth, but they might be something more useful. 5 different, beautiful reminders of how humans are actually built to live, and you can go stand in the middle of that, not to add years to your life necessarily. I'm still not your doctor, but to remember what a good one might actually feel like. If this gave you a new place or a new mindset for your list, hit subscribe. Every week, I break down the trips the algorithm walks right past. And one more time, because it matters, this was culture and travel, not medical advice, and the longevity claims are reported patterns, not proven promises. So take them as a fascinating story. Now, if you like the idea of a trips, genuinely once in a generation, the next one is pure timing and money, because 2026 is shaping up to be, by some measures, the cheapest time in about 30 years for Americans to visit Japan, thanks to a weak yen most travelers don't understand. I explain exactly why, and the catch. That video's on your screen right now, go watch it, and I'll see you inside.